And I think where you say we'll start from, let's just start at home with Nigeria. And I think I was very curious and also, I don't know if I would say impressed when Bloomberg carried that Nigerian Stock Exchange has been the best performing in the world out of like 192 companies that they track this year. And oh, okay, is that for real? What did you think about that when you saw it?
When I saw it, I mean, I can't remember how long ago this was, but it is impressive news. It gives confidence to investors. There are, I don't know, 150 countries in the world, or well, more than that, I think. I don't have the number off the top of my head, right? So, and to be ranked number one in terms of performance, in terms of returns to investors, one thing that it does is that it opens us up to even more investors coming into the markets to invest in Nigerian companies in the Nigerian markets. And we'll see how that cascades down to companies and the economy as a whole. The market is looking up. I think that's the general feeling about it. It is one of those things that you cannot hit on, you know?
Absolutely. You just have to, like it. Of course, it's good news for Nigeria, Nigerian investors, the economy as a whole. What got me thinking, I was just thinking, what situation or what was the context that created such a rise in the stock market? And I was doing some research, and one thing that came out was the reforms that the government has actually been making in the past couple of months, last year to this year. I think that's one of the things that the CBN governor stated, and it made the currency, appreciate. Also, we had the global, macro issue on oil that had made oil prices go higher, which meant that Nigeria, had more liquidity, which was crucial for the naira, and why the naira gained about 4% this year. So those were the things that I saw that okay, it makes sense. And of course, we'll still talk about Dangote. I think his IPO is also one of the reasons why we are seeing that a lot of foreign investors, their interest in Nigeria, picked up with the IPO lined up for September, I think. And it's great, like you said. It's not something we can hit on. We just need to ensure that this continues, the trend continues, and there's no issues for people in the country.
I mean, from my perspective, right, one thing that I see that bolsters investors' confidence is the way monetary policy, and this might be us already diving into maybe topic 3 already, like monetary policy and fiscal policy is handled by the nation and by states.
Yeah.
And of, all the ills that the Tinubu-led administration has done, one thing that you cannot force them on is how they've handled monetary policy and fiscal policy. Yemi Cardoso, the governor of Central Bank, right? He was awarded a few months ago in London as, I think, the best governor of Central Bank or something along that line, right?
Yeah.
And just impressive to see it is activity like that or things like that that bolsters investors' confidence. So when you see that there is stability in the economy, when you see that the currency is being managed right, of course, there's still the risk of societal risk, environmental risk, and political risk. When you think about insurgency and kidnapping and the insecurity in the land, of course, that risk is there. But I feel like maybe the fiscal policies and monetary policies that have been enacted by the administration has balanced that out slightly in a way that investors are still bullish on the country, even though, circumstances like, insecurity still persists.
Yeah. And the good thing, like to double down and touch more, is that the good thing is that also, aside from even foreign investors being interested, what is prevalent right now in the stock market is that a lot of Nigerian investors are heavily backing a lot of these companies. So we're still going to talk about, $5 doubling down on First Bank, but we see that also gives foreign investors more confidence because, rightly, all the different. So South Korea was the highest. The South Korea's Kospi, which is their stock market, was the highest till June, I believe. After that, because of the market failing to beat territory, you find that a lot of investors are getting nervous about AI stock valuations, and they are looking to other markets. So they are seeing currency stability in all backed revenues from the government and from the economy as a whole, which is something that is good for them when there's volatility macro wide. It's our own investors investing heavily. It's a good sign. Also, we have all revenues that are coming in, and that's been good for the economy as well.
Yeah. Last note on the NGX or the Nigerian Stock Exchange in general. I think one thing that excites me now, seeing the performance, seeing the growth, seeing the excitement around it, is the opportunity for entrepreneurs to possibly exit by, listing on the NGX. I don't know if you've thought about that.
Yes, that's something that has been a lot of startup founders like the big boys in the industry. I think Flutterwave, they wanted to get Flutterwave to list on an NGX, but because they always try to compare the returns of listing in Nigeria to listing, let's say, on Nasdaq or the New York Stock Exchange, and they are not very confident in that. That's why the founders and also the foreign investors who have invested in them, and as the economy is going up, there should be more appetite for our local companies to do that first, to invest in our own exchange before even thinking of listing another exchange if they have to. For example, in South Korea, we saw SK Hynix just recently went on the Nasdaq to get listed. That's after a lot of years of being on the cusp and doing well and being validated. So it's then the validation then pushes through beyond South Korea to foreign investors who then want to be part of that, but on their own turf, on their own terms, with better regulatory regimes in line. For Nigerian startups, is a good thing. If you can start that, it will encourage more exits for founders, for early startup employees, even for local investors, and
Right.
it can be a good way for them to get rewarded for all the good work.
Yeah, I mean, just last note on that before we go on is that I know that there is a substantial amount of work that has been done in partnership with the LSE, so the London Stock Exchange, and the NGX. I think one thing that would bolster early investors in these startups, their confidence or that could persuade them into supporting listing on the NGX would be dual listing, right? Having them list on both the NGX and also on the London Stock Exchange.
Yes.
I mean, one remarkable success story that has persisted for over a decade now is Seplat, right?
Yeah.
And how Seplat is dual listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and now it has performed remarkably well, and also managing dual listing on the London Stock Exchange. So
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Sepal has done really well. And they created a good model. So it means you can get, why companies, IPO is just to get access to liquidity. So you can get investments in Naira from Nigerians and from people who are from foreign investors in their own localities for Seplat, the British pound. So it allows you to also diversify your currency risk as a business if you're able to do both.